First up, we got father of the bride, David. Put your hands together.
Can everybody hear me? Is that loud enough? Yay! Bloody hell, you've got to have good eyes to read this. Christina, Nathan, ladies, gentlemen, Bruce and Sheila. I've always wanted to say that to an Australian audience, but there you go. I always find it's a good start to a speech by telling the joke about the 10-ton penguin. Well, it's always good for breaking the ice, isn't it? Don't groan at that one, that's the best one I've got. It's often said that at a wedding, there's nothing like a good father of the bride speech. Well, tonight you're in luck, because this is nothing like a good father of the bride speech. Thank you all for joining with us to celebrate the wedding of Christina and Nathan. I must say all of the ladies are looking resplendent, and the gentlemen, well, they're just looking, I suppose. Hopefully the rain will hold off till I get to the end of this speech, so you're saying move faster so I can get in the shelter. I'm sure it'll not affect things too much. Unfortunately, because of the COVID-19 restrictions, there are a large number of guests that have been unable to join us here today. As well as friends and relatives from out of state in Australia, we are also missing family and friends from Canada and England. But I know Vicky will be talking more about that later. Justin, who lives in England, has had his time off work booked for 2 years and couldn't come. But believe it or not, there are upsides to the travel ban. This year, we haven't been able to go on holiday abroad because of COVID-19. Usually we cannot holiday abroad because we can't afford it. As we are living in our safe bubble in Western Australia, it's easy to forget how difficult life has become in some parts of the world. I'm sure you'll all agree that because of COVID, these are very strange times we are living through, and everyday life has changed for many. Not so long ago, it used to be that in English polite society, if you accidentally farted, you would try to hide the noise with a discreet cough. Don't worry, I haven't done anything there, Sophie. These days, you have to try and hide the noise of a cough with a discreet fart. But back to the matter in hand. We are blessed with 2 daughters. Christina is the youngest one, or child number 2, as I like to call her. Christina has also always been a willful child. I can remember just after she started school, I came home from work one day and she greeted me at the door with, "I know what this means." So I said, "This means get to bed." "Well, this means I'm not going." Not too long after that, we took a family holiday to Norfolk. And just like Mandurah, one of the local pastimes is crabbing or catching crabs. That could be slightly different in Mandurah depending on how you take that. The idea is you get a long piece of string or thin rope, tie a piece of bacon to the end, then throw the bacon into the water. The crab sees the bacon, grabs on with its claws, won't let go, and you'll lift it to the surface. Easy. Christina got her length of string, tied the bacon to the end, and then threw herself into the water, fully clothed. Helen was next to her, and all she could see was a mass of ginger hair floating on the surface of the water. She grabbed the hair and lifted her onto the jetty physically. To complete Christina's indignity, a coachload of tourists had just arrived, and all gave Christina a round of applause as he trudged past them soaking wet on her way back to the car. Since meeting Nathan, Christina has grown into the beautiful bride we see before us, of whom Helen and I are justifiably proud. In fact, as parents, we are immensely proud to have not just one, but two daughters who are both beautiful, intelligent, resourceful, empathetic, and great fun to have around. Hang on a minute. I didn't write this. Vicky, have you been messing around on my computer again? I can remember the day Nathan asked for my blessing for his proposal to Christina. He selected a Wetherspoons pub, which to those of you that don't know is a set of high-class establishments usually frequented by early morning drinkers and students who can't afford to pay any more than $3 a pint. I knew it was going to be a special day because to get there, we had to share a train with 1,000 drunken Scotsmen on their way to the England-Scotland soccer match. There's nothing better than being crushed shoulder to shoulder by fans on their way to the match. The fact that Nathan stands 2 meters tall and is Australian was a source of much amusement to the inebriated throng, and we were soon welcomed to join in with the merriment and sharing of open bottles. I knew when we got to the pub he was up to something because he paid for lunch, and there was no restriction on what I could choose from the menu. Over the years they have been together, Nathan has endeared himself to us. In fact, I would go so far as to call him that bloody Nathan. I know he will treat Christina with the love, honour, and respect that she deserves as they build their new home and life together. I have always said we are not losing a daughter, but gaining a holiday destination. Nathan comes from a wonderful family, but thankfully there is no Ashes test this year to test our newfound friendship. Christina has now joined the O'Donnell clan. Brett, Denise, Beck, Caitlin, and Josiah have welcomed her with open arms and a great deal of kindness. We owe them a great debt of gratitude for their kindness in looking after her during those first few years when, as an 18-year-old, she was here alone. We would also like to thank Joe and Jane for being her security net in those early years. These are just some of the wonderful people in this wonderful country of yours. Before I finish, I have one last piece of advice for Nathan. Never laugh at Christina's choices, because remember, you're one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the bride and groom. Oh, and by the way, I cut my best 3 jokes out of that.
Okay, guys, next up we got father of the groom, Brett.
Yeah, Brett, you can use the bits I cut out.
Yes. Okay. Can you all hear me? Yeah. I'm Brett O'Donnell, Nathan's dad, just in case you were wondering. We don't particularly look alike, but he does bear a very strong resemblance to the postie, but that's another story. Yeah, welcome to Nathan and Christina's wedding. We thank you all for coming along. And just about Nathan, Nathan has been a wonderful son. He is a very high achiever. He's an ideas man. Has a lot of ideas, got a lot of jobs on the go. And generally gets quite a few of them done as well. When he sets his mind to something, he generally gets it done, which he obviously set his mind to Christina and got that job done. we're extremely proud of him. And Christina. Christina came into our lives a few years ago, or quite a few years ago. And she was a real breath of fresh air to us. Her beautiful English accent, her pale skin, her red hair. She was certainly something a little different to what we were used to around the house. And her, exquisite English accent, which again, we weren't used to that around our house, I can tell you. Had to watch our, language a little bit while she was there. But she's a lovely, lovely girl, and we really love her. And I'm sure Nathan and Christine are going to make a fantastic married couple together, and possibly one day produce some fantastic grandchildren as well, which is something we look forward to. It was easy to see from the start when Nathan first sort of came home or introduced us to Christina that it was going to end up as it did. They were both smitten on each other, and I think it was the only way that relationship would end was that they would get married. And it has. We're really, really proud of them. Thanks very much. Another toast to the bride and groom, Nathan and Christina. I didn't bring that over.
And next up we have best man Daniel.
Evening all. For those who don't know me, my name is Dan. I'd like to first start off by saying how beautiful Christina and all the bridesmaids look tonight. And Chris and Jaden, I think. Yep. The important stuff done. I've had the privilege of knowing Nathan now for actually over 20 years, and I'm proud to call him a best mate. Ever since we met, 7 years old, playing T-ball at Brett, Denise, yep. Melville District, and then on to football at Cardinia Footy Club, and then high school at Winthrop Baptist with Chris and Jaden. So it's a very special night for us three to be sitting up here with Nathan to celebrate. I fondly recall one day last year in Mandurah where Nathan and I had played 18 holes of golf and had a few beers, went back to the resort, had a few more beers, ended up in the spa, two dudes enjoying a few beers, then he sprung it on me. Would I like to be the best man at his wedding? I thought long and hard at the offer, especially as my mate had asked me so sincerely, and after a few seconds I said no. My decision was based purely on knowing how much goes into being a best man and preparing a speech for you all. But once Nath told me on no uncertain terms I had no choice, it's you, of course, I said. I was honoured. There are very few people in life where you can honestly say I was there for that, and Nath, would you agree we both have that, I think, personally. However, this is a family function. Most of your times remembering me are probably not suitable for this, so we'll focus on you because it's your night. Before Nath and Christina met, a typical night out for us usually involved pre-drinks at Nath, his crappy 4-song playlist. Chris and Jaden would remember that, Brett and Denise. And then we'd head into Freo, have a few beers, but I've written down how I remember the night, but hearing at the ceremony how it actually happened, I thought I'd better scrap that and we'll just carry on. I remember meeting Christina for the first time and thinking that Nath would batten way above his average. When Nath asked Dad to write him a letter of recommendation for Christina, he did not hesitate, and he knew that Nath truly did love Christina, and we all knew that. Yep. Nath has always been extra hospitable. I'm sorry. Thank you. when it came to invite me around for a few beers at him and Christina's house, and a few beers would always turn into a small DIY project, which was touched on before, and we can all agree that it's true. One of the moments was digging up the backyard of their new house in Success to lay the real lawn, and then what felt like a month later was to dig up the real lawn, lay the fake lawn. So, Oh, and the patio and the fence and the pool, spa, mini golf course. It's all there. Rabbit hut. Thank you. Anything else? Nope, we're all good. Over the years, Nathan and his mates have enjoyed the odd adventure interstate and overseas, whether it be weekends in Mandurah with the boat or crossing the Nullarbor to Melbourne. We've certainly had our share of laughs and memories. One that comes to mind was once in Mandurah where Nath fancied himself as a bit of a seafarer and a competent boat skipper. Now, the boat lasted not long enough because one day we headed down to Mandurah, had a few beers, had a few more beers. Chris joined us, and we thought we'd all take the boat out for a bit of a spin. Now, Chris asked Nath, being the responsible one, how many beers you had, and my recollection was 8, I think it was. So after setting out for a bit of a cruise on the canals, where Nath's driving, I'm in the passenger seat, Chris is on the back, Nath decided that the conversation with Chris on the back seat was more important than actually driving the boat. So after a quick couple of words of pole from Chris, where we narrowly avoided a mooring pole, we called it quits, and then later, I believe that month, the boat was gone. So, unfortunately. Another great memory was a skiing trip to Japan. I don't know how, but I got conned to go along. The group consisted of the happy couple, Nathan and Christina, the odd couple, groomsmen Chris and Jaden, and myself. Anyway, I thought it was not the sort of place you'd normally go to, and I thought, what the hell, we'll go along, we'll have a few beers and a laugh. Well, there was many memories of the Japan skiing trip, but the strangest for me was the frequenting the local Japanese fine dining establishment, Hooters. It turns out that Christina and Nath were not fans of Japanese cuisine and preferred burgers and chips every night. Anyways, I'd like to finish off by saying a massive congratulations to Christina. Nathan and Christina, I'll go that way. Yeah, sorry, Chris. It's those eyes. And wish them a long and happy, healthy life together. So if everyone could join me in raising a glass and trying to forget this speech. To the bride and groom, cheers, everyone.
Okay, now we're going to hear from the man himself, Nathan. Put your hands together.
Bit too low for me. Alrighty, I'd just like to start off with just good evening, friends and family, and thanks for coming today. So, on behalf of myself and my wife, we'd like to thank you all so much for being here with us and making today even more special. It means the world to me and Christina that you took your time to join us in this special occasion. But I also want to make mention to our friends and family around the world that couldn't make it due to the current issues. Just like toast to the absent friends. So I'd just like to thank my sister Rebecca and her partner Regan for making the trip from Port Hedland to attend her favourite brother's wedding. Thank you both very much. So to David and Helen. So from the moment I first met Christina, you accepted me into the family and made me feel welcome. I know it would have been hard for you having your daughter dating one of those Australian convicts from over the other side of the world. But you had trust in Christina to make the right choice, and that she did. The frequent trips back and forth over the world to meet your future son-in-law were always a highlight, till you decided that Australia isn't that bad and everything isn't trying to kill you. Sorry, the lighting's very just too tall, that tree's killing me. Oh. I think I got this. I thank you both very much for the support you showed me and Christina, and I can't thank you enough. To my parents, Brett and Denise, without yous I would never have met Christina. You raised me to be the man I am today, and with that, I attracted the most beautiful girl in the world, and today she is my wife. From the moment I introduced you to Christina, you treated her as one of the family and showed your unrelentless love and support for her. You took her into your home with open arms and made her feel welcome as one. We both cannot thank you enough. From both me and my wife, we thank you very much. To the bridesmaids, you look very beautiful tonight. I don't think Christina could ask for a better family and friends. You have always supported her and myself, and with that I thank you all. To Dan, your best man. I know when I asked you, I think you touched on this, to be my best man. I think the first thing you said was no, I don't want to have to write a speech. But hey, it's not that bad, is it? We've known each other for 24 years, so I gave you a lot of material to use. And that's all you come up with. And just like that, one of our stories on one Saturday night out, that led to me meeting Christina. But I also think it was meant to be fate. So without you, I don't think I would be speaking here today with my wife. Thank you. And thank you for being my best friend over the years. To the groomsmen, Jaden and Chris, thank you for being there as a friend and a mate and helped me over the years. As always always provide me with some good fun and laughs no matter what we do, along with many trips and many beers. Now, to Christina, my wife. I've been saving the most important one for last. My wife, Christina, you mean the world to me. I can still remember the day we met. You took a chance as an 18-year-old and travelled to the other side of the world. It was only by chance that we crossed paths. We challenged the nearly impossible, but our love for each other prevailed. And you gave up your life in England so you could be with me, as I would give up everything to be with you. You are my best friend, and the best thing that's ever happened to me. You've always been there, and I will always be there for you. I'm looking forward to our future together and what it may bring. Christina, I love you. And could everyone please join me and charge their glasses to a toast to the beautiful bride. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to hear from Maid of Honour Vicky now.
Yeah, it's too tall.
I can change the height.
Oh, growing up, I was always so lucky to have a sister as my best friend. We always had each other's back through thick and thin, even when she hit my mum over the head with a frying pan after one of my most painful operations and she was caring for me. And when we were older, and I would sneak her into the club underage with my best friend's ID. But now, Nathan, I just want to thank you for making my best friend so happy and for loving her as much as we all do and more. So thank you very much for that. And there's also a lot of people who couldn't make it here today due to the pandemic. We've got family in England, Melbourne, Canada, all over the world. My friends in England always used to laugh at me when I told them one of the reasons I wanted to move to Perth was because of its isolation. I always knew I would survive during the zombie apocalypse. But who's laughing now? So if we could all raise a glass for those who couldn't make it today. Cheers. Also, they wanted to send some messages over of congratulations. If you guys could remain seated, but if the bridal party could make their way around the projector, there's a few people who would like to say hello.